Okay, so I've noticed here that it seems like the clusters aren't really good right now, but there is something you can do about that. Like, guess there's just chance and railroad next to each other, and then there's that shield that's kind of off on luxury tax. Community chest is pretty good, so that's kind of a good cluster right there, but I think we can make it better here. So this is not a good cluster. Or is that a good cluster? And that's kind of a mediocre cluster. So one technique here is, I guess I could call it reclustering. I don't know if there's like a good name. I guess since I kind of invented the idea or came up with the idea, I guess I could do my own thing with it there. So I guess I'll call it reclustering, but what you do is you just auto roll on one and hopefully you'll land on the shields and or pickup tiles. In this case, there's no pickup tiles, but eventually you'll land on the shields and move them to different places, making a good cluster, good tiles to aim for. So you'll see, okay, now that moved that shield somewhere else. Let's check the clusters and see what we got here. Actually, it may not have come down yet. Maybe it'll come down on the next roll here. Okay, and thankfully we moved that one too. Still not really any good clusters, so let's go and keep doing it. This is pretty much just random what happens here, but I'd hold off on throwing your high rolls until you get some good clusters. So if the clusters aren't good, you can kind of help make them good. And then you can high roll for the clusters. I'm just kind of in a hurry to demonstrate the concept here. I mean, it may take some time to do it, but eventually it'll be one that lands right next to railroad, and or hopefully several that do that in different spots. Okay, let's see where that one. Let's see what we got. I'll just watch as we go around and see if we have any good clusters. And once we do, then we can stop auto rolling, and then we'll go back to what I call the smart rolling, where you roll one most of the time, but when you're seven away from a good cluster, then you increase or you maximize your roll multiplier. And yeah, this is actually taking a while this time. I don't think it usually takes that long to do it. It's not the end of the world. We got time. Anyway, that's the concept behind it, and you do it for long enough, it'll things will fall into place to where at least you'll have at least one good cluster. This one here isn't really all that bad. There's just two blank spaces that are bad. Okay, good. That should do some good rearranging here. Okay, yeah, now that's made this cluster good. So now we'll stop multiplying for that. I'll explain what I mean. I mean, we'll stop auto rolling and go back to regular multiplying. So right now this cluster is good because this event, community chest is a good tile and chance is a good tile. Chance is pretty much almost always a good, well, decently good tile. Railroad's really good, but there's a shield right before railroad, then there's railroad, then there's, I guess, kind of the bad one here, but then there's community chest, and then there's another shield, so that's actually a good cluster in the top left right now. So if we're lined up with railroad in there, if we're lined up kind of in the center of the, maybe even if we're lined up for this, the bad one here, might be good to multiply for because there's good stuff on either side. So you're lined up with the center of that cluster, and your odds are Actually, really good that you're gonna hit something good there. You're lined up just with the left shield or the right shield, I wouldn't multiply, but if you're lined up anywhere it's railroad, the center one, or the community chest, I would, and that's 7 away from, so I'll go and demonstrate that now. Wait, was that what was I have to see that again. It looked like she didn't have shoes on and standing out in the snow. That's weird. Actually, this is a good cluster now, too. A little curious what that was all. That was weird. That'd be painful. Maybe it's like a polar plunge or something. Oh, cool. Here we go. Hopefully this is a... So, yep, it kind of paid off there. I think we hit luck there last. Looks like Brand might be open. A Brant. So, we know luck's open because we just hit him. So, it's another strategy for shutdowns. Is find somebody that's open and use your high roll multipliers on them. Probably don't want to do that to your real life friends, but anybody that's random, you can do that. Or like a random friend can do that too. I find that one pretty funny. Picture at the top there. Okay, well that's how that works though. Maybe I'll demonstrate it a little bit more. It doesn't always work, so I can show that it doesn't always work, but it certainly increases your odds of good things happening. I'm lined up with the end of that cluster. I'm going to go ahead and go for it, though. And yeah, that's an example where being lined up with the end of the cluster isn't as good to go for. If you're lined up with the center of it, that's where it's really good to go for. So yeah, this is a really good cluster, but I'm lined up with the end of it right now, so not worth multiplying for. Keep in mind that jail is basically a good tile, but there is a shield around it. If there's a shield on the other side, I might multiply for it, but it's actually really good during the corner events. Another thing I've noticed is it seems like the mega heists are often 3 in a rows. So yeah, now I'm just trying to get lined up with another cluster here. There's this one on the bottom left and that one on the top right. That's good right now. And then there, keep in mind, passing go kind of sweetens the deal for this cluster, but there's nothing good in there right now. Okay, yep, now I'm lined up with the center of this cluster. Granted, the one tile I'm aimed for, I'm 7 away from is not really good, but the other ones all around it are good, so I'm going for it. And see, there it didn't work. It doesn't always work. But it does work more often than that. I guess I'll play a little bit longer and see, let you see it in action here a little bit. Granted, that one would have been good if I multiplied for, but odds were that wasn't, odds were against that happening. Oh, that's interesting. It looks like when you hit the water, when it actually drips water, that's interesting. Like when you hit the water shield. Wonder if the other shields do things like that. I haven't really noticed, to be honest. There, it's kind of lined up with the end of the thing. Let's see if we. Okay, that one just broke. No special particle effects, I guess. But that's cool. The water one does a water effect. Okay, so now we're lined up with the railroad on this cluster, so definitely got to multiply for that. Okay, I think we hit the end of the cluster. Cool. So that wasn't bad. Now that cluster's not as good. It's still pretty good with community chest being good. I don't know where the other. Okay, it looks like it moved there, I guess. Still isn't that great of a cluster. There's like three things around it. I'd call it good. Now we're aimed for. Yeah, now we're aimed for shield. And there's community chest and railroad on either side, so I'm going for that. And then there's chance further beyond it. Okay, so now we made that cluster not so good. See if there's any good clusters now. There's that one, and then if that wasn't there, it'd be time to basically re-cluster them again. So yeah, that's how what I call reclustering works. Thank you for watching and have a great day.